6:37 p.m., May 9th. I would like to welcome everybody and call to order this regular board meeting of Harmony Public Schools. We have 4 board members present, so we have quorum. Do we have any public comments, Dr. Terp?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. We have several people sign up for the public comment, and I'm going to call each of these people to come to the microphone right here. And as part of our rule, excuse me, you have 3 minutes to make your comments. And I'm going to turn on my alarm clock, and when you hear the sound, its default is radar, and I would ask you to stop, and we'll move to the next one. So I have Fatima Alakui first, and then we have Bak Mijan second, Ms. Sakar third, and then Kemi Fidelis is the last person to make comments. And again, Fatima, you are the first person. You have 3 minutes. And sure, we can have someone to distribute it. Thank you, sir. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Fatima Alakil. My children are...
Can you speak to microphone?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. My name is Fatima Alakil. My children have been students of Harmony. They've been blessed enough to go to Harmony since 2008. So I've been a long time member of the Harmony family. My oldest daughter had Miss Sakar as her... I gave you guys my comments so that way I'm very long-winded, so I'm trying to keep it short, so you can read it at your leisure. But my oldest daughter, Miss Sakar, my oldest daughter, Reno Alakil, had Miss Sakar as our AP chemistry teacher. One of the reasons that we chose Harmony as out of the choices of schools that we could pick from was because of the great educators that it had. She had Miss Sakar as our AP chemistry teacher. She worked really, really hard. Miss Sakar would stay after school with her, help her with her studies. If she had a particular question, she would actually stay with her until she actually understood it, even if that meant having her come in on Saturday or staying after school. Long story short, my daughter eventually did pass AP chemistry, ended up getting a 4.5 on the exam. She graduated about 4 years ago. She will be graduating next week from Columbia University. Because of the hard work that teachers like Ms. Sakar has instilled in her, she actually did a double major. So she's not just graduating from Columbia University, she's graduating with a 3.7 GPA, Dean's List throughout, and she is graduating with a double major in neuroscience and a major in Middle Eastern and African Studies, and all this in 4 years. So we are very, very proud. But again, all her success is not just due to anything that I did, but it's due to all the hard work and all the patience and all the care and the love that teachers like Ms. Sakar and many other teachers, she wasn't just our only teacher, but all the other teachers and the administrators and the counselor gave to her. My son also went here. I have 4 children, and all 4 have attended Harmony. My son also was privileged enough to have Ms. Sakar as his chemistry teacher. He's not as studious as his older sister, but she challenged him. She made him work hard, and she told him that she expected nothing less than his best. So even if that meant staying up at night and studying until all night long to pass the class and to understand the subject, he had to do that. She was also instrumental in instilling the concept that it's not about a grade. It's not just passing a class. It's actually understanding the concept so that when you go on to college, you actually already know the material. College will be easy for you. My son, like I said, he's, I'll wrap it up.
Okay, thank you.
My son, like I said, he's majoring, he's in Syracuse University. He's majoring in chemical engineer. Dean's List last semester. Hopefully he'll be dean's list this semester. And when I asked him that, okay, well, how was college for you? Because he parties. I mean, he's, like I said, not very studious. He parties. How is college for you? He said, well, Mom, college is challenging, but it's not as challenging as Harmony was. The whole point of my story and the only reason I'm here is because I do have 2 other children. I have a 9th grader that is also in HHS Sugarland. One of the things that she looked forward to was taking Ms. Saka's class next year, her AP chemistry class. The bar has been set so high for all the administrators set the bar so high for students that is not, mediocre wasn't acceptable. You have to work harder and you have to do well. So that was, again, one of the reasons I wanted to talk here today, nervously as I'm speaking, and I'll wrap it up, is
Please.
that we need to do whatever we can, or whatever you guys can, to keep teachers like Ms. Saka, especially in HSS Harmony Sugarland, because that's where my kids are, and to keep all the other administrators.
Thank you.
I'll wrap it up. And one more thing before I go, I'm sorry. Not about Ms. Saka, but I have a child, like I said, in 4th grade. The principal, Ms. Merchant, she's done a great job with them, and we need to keep more principals with that. Principals that actually want to retain the good teachers is the type of principals that we need to have.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Sorry.
Alaka.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have, all right, thank you. Next we have Bak Mijong. Mr. Mijong, you have 3 minutes.
Yes. Come here to support Mr. Carr, and I have 2 students, my daughter, and now it's my son. And my daughter now in the 1st year at St. Thomas, and my son now at 11th grade at the Harmony School Science in Sugarland. And I come here because my daughter heard about maybe Mr. Carr had been transferred to another campus. And because of her, whatever she teach my daughter, now she's in college, and she make all A in college, and thanks of her. And I come here today to support her, to ask in the board to give Mr. Carr at Sugarland because it's where she do best for the student, particularly her subject. And that's the reason why I'm coming here today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, so Ms. Sakar.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How are you doing? I hope I'm a little bit stressful. Okay. Because of my height.
We can
I
hear
hope
you.
that you're able to hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for my parents. Dear members of HPS Board of Directors, first of all, I would like to thank each member of HPS Board of Directors for showing immense understanding and deep empathy to my situation when I appeared in front of you and appealed the decision of campus for terminating my position. I don't know what I and my family would do in the face of systematic workplace mobbing and administrative retaliation without your amazing support. As indicated by the motion to decide level 4 grievance on
Ms.
February
Sakar,
22nd.
Ms. Sakar, if this is a complaint or
No,
grievance,
it's just a public hearing that I will end.
okay.
Okay. On February 22nd by HPS board, I had endured a loss of salary between January 18th and February 27th. However, I respected this disciplinary action even though it was not deemed to be fair. But I could still not comprehend why I am being forced to transfer to another Harmony campus by the end of May 2017. This year, I have already lost my science department chair position and AP chemistry classes since retaliation started. After the decision of HPS board, I learned that the father of the student sent an email one day after my termination on January 18th. He was politely asking the school administration to overturn the termination decision. As confirmed by principal in his office, this email was immediately forwarded to both district and central office leaders. Since I and my attorney were never informed about this letter, I'm worried that this email was not shared with you, and that was why you added a second penalty of transferring me from my campus on the top of penalty of loss of salary. If that were the case, I would like to respectfully request you to reconsider the reassignment portion of the decision. I believe that was a serious case of concealing evidence in my favor. In conclusion, although I truly appreciate the support and understanding the esteemed members of HPS board, it was still puzzling to make sense the decision of reassignment to another campus. Thank you very much all.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker.
Thank you.
Now we have Kemi Fidelis. You have 3 minutes.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
My name
evening.
is Kemi Fidelis, and my Harmony journey started when my daughter was in 5th grade here in this campus until I moved over to Sugar Land with my 4 other kids. I have Stephanie in 11th grade right now, and I have Frederick going into 10th grade at the same campus. I've known Ms. Sakar for a while now, and I remember coming to my home when my daughter was in the CRLP program at Sugar Land. The reason why I'm here today is because I'm afraid. And the reason why I'm afraid is because if we take the good teachers away, then what do we have? Stephanie did 10th grade chemistry with Ms. Sakar, and because of her, she decided to do the AP, thinking, okay, there's no way I'm not going to grab this because she's laid the foundation. My son is going to do chemistry next year, and now most of the students are complaining they are not getting what they're being taught. And I know that the reason why Sugar Land is doing so well is because you have teachers like Ms. Sakar and other students, and I know a lot of people transfer from one school to the other to come to Sugar Land. So I believe that the glory that the kids are getting, in as much as it's been from the foundation that it has been laid by their teachers, is what Harmony Public School is on right now. So if we take away what we've known, and like they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. At this time, I'm just saying that if we continue to change from one teacher to the other, then we're probably not setting our kids up for the challenge of the college. Like all my parents have already said, she has testified, our daughter is doing well, our son is doing well, his daughter is doing well. I want my daughter to do well too. And I'll very, very much appreciate it if she's left in our campus. Our campus is already there. Everything is well laid out for our students to do well. And Harmony is a good school. If without the good teachers, we don't have anything. We're ranked up high there, and we don't want to go back low. Like she said, I can attest to Miss Merchant. I've worked on PTO, I volunteer at school every time, and for all that, I think we should have sustainable administration. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of our parents for coming and testifying and making comments. I appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, that's all we have.
Yeah, thank you again for this testimonials. And so with that, we'll start with our action items. The first action item is approval of previous board meeting minutes for April 19, 2017. Is there any comments, questions on the minutes? Or we can entertain motions?
I make a motion to approve the previous board meeting minutes.
A second.
All right, everybody in favor of approving previous board meeting minutes of April 19, 2017, say aye.
Aye.
They are approved. Our next item is the approval of the resolution of the Board of Directors of Harman Public Schools authorizing a taxable loan from regional. Is this the full agenda? Is the title? The on board on track? Okay. Sorry. Authorizing a taxable loan from Regions Commercial Equipment Finance LLC, qualification of such loan as master debt under the master trust indenture and security agreement dated as of May 1st, 2007, and execution and delivery of documents in connection therewith and containing other matters related thereto.
So, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, next 4 items is going to be conducted by Dr. Akyildiz and his team, and he will walk you through this process.
Yes. Good evening. I'd like to say, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for scheduling this meeting. It was scheduled, and whole finance team is here today. I'd just like to introduce them. Many of them will be coming up here. We have Tom Sage from Andrew Kirch, our bond counsel, our attorney, and Clay Holland from his office. We have Drew Masterson from Hilltop Securities, and Jonathan from Church from his office. We have Debbie Jones, our underwriter, James, you know Debbie for a long time, and Janet Robertson from Haynes and Boone, right? Yes. Underwriters Council. So we have a couple
And
of
Mrs. Akyildiz.
And Mrs. Akyildiz,
All right, well, welcome.
our finance
welcome all.
manager,
Yeah. All right.
does all the work for.
And who's the young man in the front? Is it the finance, from the finance also? The young gentleman?
Young gentleman over there? He's our legal counsel.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. All right.
No need for introduction for
Okay.
him. So this item, the first item is about our bridge loan. We have bridge loan to interim financing for before we issue bonds. This bridge loan we currently have with BBVA. We are moving it to Regions Bank because it's better deals. We discussed this in Finance Committee extensively, and there's a resolution. We ask you to approve it. That's the first item.
Is this a bridge loan from 2007? What?
This is bridge loan is a line of credit. So we have a line of credit with BBVA Bank. We are asking you to authorize it to move to Regions Bank.
Okay, but that bridge loan, is it part of the bond sales? Was it part of the bond sales, or is it independent?
It is. It's a line of credit. And every time we sell bonds, we have to refinance it with the bond sale.
So it's part of this sale, part of this sale, not past sales.
It is not related with this next
not
resolution.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, we have access to cash
Yeah.
up to $35 million.
Yes.
And from BBVA Compass Bank. Now we are moving that account. We're closing that
Regions.
account and moving to basically to Regions Bank
Is
because they give a better deal in terms
is
of.
there a figure, like how much we are saving, like kind of?
It is 10 basis points on interest rates. Tom Sage is the one who wrote it down. Sorry, Kevin.
Correct. I'd be happy to answer your question. I'm Tom Sage, Andrews Kurth, we're bond counsel. And we've been working on this loan as well. This has been a very successful facility for Harmony Public Schools over a number of years with Regions Bank and with BBVA. And it allows your team to access capital for new campuses without going through a full bond financing every time we want to go open a campus or buy a piece of property. So, and each year or periodically when we do issue bonds, we pay off the line of credit and then it's back down to zero and you can access it again. And that's how it's set up. This is a $35 million facility, and I think we're expecting to use it as we have in the past. And the decision's been made to move it over to Regions Bank from BBVA.
Okay.
And we prepared a resolution for your consideration to approve this, and I think we're planning to close it, if we can, by Friday. If not, it'll be first of next week. But very quickly, we'll move the account over.
Okay. Is there any penalty associated with
No, sir.
leaving BBVA? No.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Then, okay. All right. Any other questions, comments, or we can entertain a motion?
Did you get an answer on what was the savings? And I didn't hear.
You said 10 points. You said 10 points, but
There's 15 basis points on interest rates from 15 basis points is 0.15%.
0.15%.
From
That's it,
BBVA
from
to
4% to 4.15%.
In addition that we have better customer relationship.
Of course.
Yes, that's also, in terms of customer
Is
relationship.
the amount of line of credit same? You said 35 million?
Same.
Same amount.
Everything else is same. The mechanism of it works is the same. We used to work with regions and
I
moved
remember,
to BBVA.
yeah, we used to work with them.
Because
yeah.
BBVA offered better, so we kind of were able to get this competition and get benefit out of this competition.
So if BBVA start offering better, we're going to go back?
Sure, we can go back to BBVA.
Yeah. If they,
They give us a good
openly on a public meeting, I can say if BBVA offers better deal, we can always go back.
All right, we are here to save money so that we can serve better to our students. All right, so any other questions, comments, motions?
We
Dr.
discussed.
Yildiz, thank you very much for explaining this in detail in the Finance Committee meeting. So I'd like to make a motion for approval of the resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing a taxable loan from Regions Commercial Equipment Finance LLC, qualification of such loan as master debt under the Master Trust Indenture and Security Agreement dated as of May 1st, 2007, and execution and delivery of documents in connection therewith and containing other matters related thereto.
Anybody seconding?
I'll go ahead and second that.
All right, everybody in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved.
Thank
you. So the next item is consider and adopt a resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing a borrowing from the Arlington Higher Education Finance Corporation to finance and refinance educational facilities, approving the issuance of bonds and redemption of outstanding bonds, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the documents related thereto and containing other related matters.
Me again.
Yes.
This is 2017 A bond series. We are selling a par amount of $40,540,000, which generates $35 million new funds for new projects. And
Can you state the numbers again? What was
$40,540,000.
Okay. And are we supposed to refer to this yet?
Yes,
or is-
Mr. Masterson will go over. He has a little presentation about this deal.
Okay.
But highlights is creating $35 million new money, and we are refinancing 2011 series with better deal on this. Drew is our financial advisor. There is a report delivered to you. This report, I believe, did we deliver it? This one.
Yeah, this.
And the bond was priced today at started 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So completed around 11:30. So numbers are updated and final version is delivered to you in just now, just before.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Kildiz. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board, and staff. Touch real briefly on the highlights. Ask Debbie Jones to talk about the sale process this morning that her firm led. And then I'll talk for just a minute on other financings that we compare to, and then some highlights from the rating process this year. So very quickly, turning to the financing highlights, the $40 million that Dr. Kildiz mentioned is in two components. One new money portion, which was $33,630,000, which funded $35 million in projects. Together with the par amount, there was also a large amount of premium. That's how we get to $35 million.
We're on tab 8, right? Tab.
I don't have tabs. What tab am I on?
Let me give you a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody has the same.
You want
Tab
this?
A.
You want this?
Everybody's on the
Tab
same
A,
page.
yeah.
Okay. Just for us, everyone to follow.
I'll mention the tabs now.
Thank
you. The all-in cost on the new money portion of the financing was 4.04. Then the refinancing or refunding of the 2011s, we had about 6.9 million of par amount. That actually took out 11 million plus of bonds. You might ask, how do 6 million, 9 pay off 11 million? And that's because we released 5.1 million of an old reserve fund that was tied up earning very little in today's investment market. So that was freed up to help pay down those other bonds. That's going to, together with the lower interest rates on these bonds, going to save 1.2 million in debt service payments next year, 1.1 the following year, and then about $400,000 a year after that through 2027. So very significant savings from a debt service standpoint, but the refinancing took out the 2011 bonds that were called the refunded bonds that averaged 6.419%, and we replaced those with 2.70. So from 6.4 down to 2.7. If you look at the new money and the refunding together, we had an all-in combined interest cost of 3.92. If Dr. Akildes is comparing notes with other charter schools, you usually use a industry measure we call the true interest cost, and that would be a 377 combined. So he can go around saying, we got a 377, what'd you get? And yeah.
So what will be the answer? What do they get? Is it
Yeah, well,
higher?
we'll,
You have it?
we have a slide on that in
Oh,
just a bit. Now I'd like to ask Debbie if she would comment on the sale process that went off this morning, led by Raymond James.
Good evening. Hi, Debbie Jones with Raymond James. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as a senior manager again on the Harmony Public School education and refunding revenue bonds. I can provide a very brief overview and summary of the transaction. We'll be putting together a more detailed post-sales analysis that we'll be providing to staff prior to the closing, which will be May 25th. So we'll have additional information, but just briefly, we sold the underwriting syndicate. It was Raymond James as well as RBC Capital Markets, so the two firms were the underwriting syndicate. We went out this morning at 9 a.m. for an hour-and-a-half order period, offering the $40,540,000 in par amount of bonds. At the end of the order period, we received orders totaling $193,345,000, which included priority orders, which are institutional orders mostly, retail orders, as well as member orders or stock orders for both firms. That means that we had more than 4.7 times the amount of orders as we had bonds to be issued, which was a phenomenal pricing effort on behalf of Harmony. Yes, sir.
Would you explain the orders, type of orders, and the institutions, just like give us examples, names of institutions?
Sure, like for the priority orders, which we had approximately 179 million, those would be their money managers, their insurance companies, they are trust funds, their arbitrage accounts. For example, we had over 40 institutional investors. There were both repeat buyers as well as new buyers. RNC Capital Markets, or Capital Management, it's a Tier 2. Tier 2 means they invest between $500 million and $1 billion of assets on an annual basis. They placed orders for all the bonds in maturities 20 through 27. They were a new buyer for Harmony bonds. Pine River Capital Management is another one that was new to Harmony. They're a Tier 2, again, a smaller tier arbitrage account. They placed orders for all the bonds in the 2030 through 2037 maturity. And then we had another new investor, Spring Lake Asset Management, another Tier 2 money manager, and they were our lead order for the entire 2047 maturity. So other examples of names that you might know better would be Frost Bank. placed orders for State Farm, Lowe's Capital Management. So those are the type of, Prudential didn't come in this time, but they are previous buyers of Harmony bonds. So those are the type of institutional investors that come in. Most of our orders this time around were from Tier 2 investors, which is good news because they're less price sensitive, so we're able to push on the pricing a little bit more. We also received 23 different orders from retail investors, which was very unique. We don't normally get a lot of retail investor orders for the charter schools. The PSF helps that significantly because you have a little bit more yield on a charter school PSF-backed bond than you do on a Houston ISD PSF-backed bond. So there was a good mix of money managers, insurance companies, arbitrage accounts, and retail investors today. We had...
So the repeat investors, the number of the percentage of this 40, do you have any idea how much of it was the repeat, or
How much of it was?
The people, investors who invested, who purchased our bonds before?
We are still analyzing that, and that will be in the post-sales analysis.
Okay.
The retail orders, we had almost 3 million of retail orders from 23 different retail investors, so that was also very, very positive. The demand, when we were out, the demand was strong. We sold bonds that matured in years 2020 all the way up to 2047. We had fairly strong demand on the short end of the curve from 20 to 27, and then we had a lot of demand from 2033 to 2047. The middle part of the curve, there wasn't a lot of demand, and it's just a factor of pricing. There wasn't enough yield in those bonds to really entice investors to come in. That's good for Harmony. At the end of the day, we lowered the yields on the bonds from when we went out with the original yields. We came back and we offered to underwrite we lowered the yields anywhere from 2 to 5 basis points across the spectrum, except for those 3 maturities that were in the middle that we did not lower the yields on those. We also didn't have all those bonds sold. As a point of comparison, there was another charter school bond offered in the secondary market today, and it was either Idea or Uplift, and I don't have the paperwork to know which one it was, but they have this comparative BBB rating. They were marketed at a plus 50 over MMD. We came in with Harmony at plus 45. So you priced through basis points another comparable charter school in the market today, which you should be very proud of the demand that Harmony had. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them, and if not, as I said, we are preparing a more detailed post-sales analysis that Yeltsin and Ebru will get here in a week or two.
Thank you.
And I don't know who is the right person to ask this, but the PSF allotment for charters, it's run out, right? For charters, do we still have?
It's what?
There was an allotment for charters.
It was all
It was used.
utilized.
Yeah.
We're going to be turning a little bit back, and we suspect that most of the other schools got more than they really needed.
Okay.
So there'll probably be some going back in the kitty, but
But I think there's a bill in the legislation, there's another bill, right, to increase that allotment.
correct.
Probably for the
There's
next.
a bill that would make our share of the pie apply to the total PSF, not just the left.
Total, not a
Not
percentage.
just the
Wow.
unused portion.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just a couple other highlights.
Okay.
In tab B are the results of the competitive bid that we took at 12:15 this afternoon relating to the refunding. So the 2011 bonds can't be immediately paid off, so we bought these investments for $12.8 million and had a competitive bid, had 5 firms. The only point to raise there for you is that it was a very strong competitive process with 5 bidders. Turning to comparable financings in tab C to address your question earlier of, what did the others have? There aren't very many PSF charter schools Debbie, I don't know if you know what the TIC was yesterday on Arenda or not, or we have maturity by maturity. We'll find out the TIC to compare to your 377. I don't know, but this first page on tab C shows side by side Harmony with the other PSF issue that came yesterday. You beat them in every maturity by anywhere from 5 to over 15 basis points per year, but you should. They're not Harmony. They're triple B minus, you're triple B. You have a Moody's rating, they don't. You're big, they're small, so you should beat them, but you did beat them. That's the point there. The next page, we also look at what the school districts have sold on a PSF basis and how they spread to MMD. And you can't really tell here. They beat us, but they should beat us. They're AA and AAA underlying, and we're triple B. So what we do is we compare to how much they beat us from year to year, and the spreads are tightening is the point there. So we're getting closer to where the ISDs are selling. The next tab is market information, which I'm not going to go into any detail on. Tab E is just a graph of municipal long-term interest rates. And on the far right-hand side there, you can see basically rates spiked up after the election in November, and we've gotten about a third of that back since that time. Tab F is the rating reports, and I would turn your attention to the bottom of the first page. This is a Moody's report. This is your first time to have a rating by Moody's. You are the first charter school in Texas to have a rating by Moody's. We expect others will probably follow in your footsteps. Moody's came out with charter school criteria in December. We analyzed those and felt like Harmony would be favorably treated through their matrix that they utilized, that they published. So we went for a indicative rating, which is basically a private rating. It came back favorably at Baa2, which is equivalent to your triple B rating from Standard & Poor's. So we went ahead and asked them to make that public, and this is the rating report. So you're really cutting new ground here. I'd say the strategy in going to Moody's is a long-term strategy. It is to have another rating in the investment grade, solidly in the investment grade category in the event that S&P flakes out for whatever reason. Fitch flaked out about 5 years ago and got out of the charter school business. This would give us another option, because you can't qualify for the PSF AAA guarantee from the state unless you have investment grade. Now we have 2 investment grades. So the other reason would be, to get short-term savings on our interest rates, and we think that we can't prove to you that we got any short-term benefit today. We think on larger transactions, the bigger institutions that require 2 ratings will be able to buy your bonds now where they haven't in the past. But all in all, we were very pleased with the process. The credit strengths that they outline are, you're a large operator with 48 schools. At the bottom of this first page, your academic performance is, and the consistency of that was incredibly important to Moody's, and it is to S&P as well. So, while those of us in the finance team like to take credit for ratings and that sort of thing, the credit at a charter school fundamentally belongs with your academic team. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. They call debt service coverage satisfactory, which is not really a compliment from a rating agency, but nonetheless they listed it under credit strengths. On the top of the next page, they list our credit challenges, being aggressive growth plans. Basically 6 schools got their attention. They don't see other people growing that fast, so that stood out to them as a risk. substantial leverage that is expected to remain elevated because of the growth, and a lack of adopted financial reserve policies, which we are addressing and will be bringing to the board financial and debt policies in the near future. On Standard & Poor's, I would just say that we were very concerned about the Standard & Poor's rating this time. As you know, Harmony increased teacher salaries across the board last year and this year. That tightened your margin, your cash flow, if you will, available for debt service. And we were modeling S&P's criteria and worried that they were going to push into the BBB- category. Long story short, S&P actually published in their report, which is not in here. I accidentally included the press release, not the full report, so we'll get that to you. But they published in their report that their quantitative matrix showed a BBB-, yet they felt the size and diversification of locations in Harmony was warranted keeping you at the BBB overall with a stable outlook. So basically, in plain English, we survived the pay increases despite a little stress for your financial advisor and maybe some stress that was passed along to your CFO as well.
Okay. Yeah. Some certain level of stress is,
Healthy.
Healthy. So what is the final SP rating? Is it BBB- or BBB?
BBB stable.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they basically said their math indicated a BBB-, but when
But
they look at the organization as a whole, they stayed with the BBB stable.
Thank you, sir. And his nervousness and excitement creates, joy among teachers.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I understand the debt and policy, and you address that. What does this mean? Satisfactory debt service coverage levels despite recent narrowing. What does that mean?
Okay, they're talking about the pay increases, tightening available cash flow, bringing down your debt service coverage level.
Okay.
And there's a table in there that shows the coverage dropping over the years.
Okay.
Would you like to ask board to approve this resolution?
Any questions?
Mr. Akildas, thank you, Dr. Akildas, thank you very much for your presentation and for everything that the finance team did. Just one question, including this one, what is the total amount of bonds we've issued up to now? Do you have the figure in your?
355 plus 45, 40, 395.
395 million?
Less than 400. Yes.
Okay.
But again, there's the finance. So 390.
This Moody's report, actually, the way it's written, it's very helpful. The strength, the challenges, and how can it go downgrade or upgrade. I don't remember, the S&P always had this? I don't remember, like maybe we didn't read it. Similar? Okay. I mean, this is very helpful. Like, you see the challenges, you see the strengths. So, I guess maybe it's first time I see it. That's good.
We also want to thank Mrs. Akildas because she bore the brunt of the additional questions of another rating agency, and they were about 20 times those of S&P, because S&P has been around so long. They had very few questions, so it was a very time-intensive process for your staff.
Yeah, we appreciate the hard work. Thank you. And you said you're going to share this is just a press release, but you're going to share so I assume, Mr. Akildas, you're going to send it to board members, the rating?
Yes, sir, tomorrow morning.
Okay, perfect. Any questions, comments? These ratings are public, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, the whole report.
The whole report.
So if we want to see others, we can see others.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to ask for the other charter schools that you were serving before. So.
The other charter schools at what?
I'm not going to ask the one that you used to serve as a board member for.
They've never sold debt.
They don't? Okay.
They replace it with banks.
Okay. All right.
If there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and make the motion to consider and adopt a resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing a borrowing from the Arlington Higher Education Finance Corporation to finance and refinance educational facilities, approving the issuance of bonds and redemption of outstanding bonds, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the documents related thereto and containing other related matters.
Anybody seconding?
I'll second.
All right. So everybody in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you, Drew. The next item is, it's one item but two resolutions, right, Mr. Balaban? Okay. Consider and adopt a resolution of Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement between Harmony Public Schools and Charter School Solutions for an additional land purchase in Sugar Land and other related matters. The second resolution, part of this item, is consider and adopt a resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing the execution and delivery of an amended lease agreement between Harmony Public Schools and Charter School Solutions for the participating campus in El Paso, Texas.
Just a clarification, Mr. Chairman, do we need two voting or one voting for this two resolutions?
There are two resolutions. Should be.
You have one agenda item, you can adopt them both.
In one
resolution.
Okay.
One approval. Okay, thank you.
Little introduction. This is about one of our leases with CSS. The first one is to purchase additional land in Sugar Land building. City of Sugar Land required us to purchase additional land. So CSS is purchasing the land, leasing to us. This is the lease agreement. The other one is, the second one is the moving funds on Grand Prix project that we decided not to pursue to our El Paso, HSA El Paso campus. HSA El Paso campus was a lease property from a church. Church went bankrupt. CSS purchased the church, and they are leasing us the building with better deals. So what we are doing is we already had a lease for future building. So we are moving funds from that building to El Paso. For any other questions, I have Tom Sage to answer.
Good evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions on this. There have been a lot of moving parts on both of these projects. The El Paso one, the story would take the rest of the night, so I will not do that to you. But suffice to say, we've been successful in moving the bond proceeds associated with the Grand Prairie campus to this additional El Paso property that is adjacent to your other CSS campus. The Sugar Land lease is very straightforward. We're buying property and it's being leased to Harmony. The other is an amendment to your existing lease with CSS on the El Paso campus to add the additional facility and therefore the additional rental payments associated with that. I'm happy to answer any questions on either of them.
When you say we or, moving funds, you mean Charter Solutions? Charter School Solutions.
I mean, Charter School Solutions moved funds from Grand Prairie to the El Paso project.
Okay. So a Harmony is, we are just amending we are one amendment and one new lease agreement, right?
Correct.
With Charter School. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. So that move is $20 million in the amount of $20 million move of the funds? Was it?
No. The Grand Prairie movement of funds was approximately a little over $7.2 million from the Grand Prairie.
When was that bonds sold? When did?
The Charter School Solutions bonds were sold last summer.
Last summer.
And they were in the process of developing the Grand Prairie campus that were anticipated in that bond issue. There were some local objections to the campus, and the city council acquiesced, and therefore we were unable to pursue that project.
Okay.
And the first part of purchase of land in Sugar Land is about $1.2 million.
$1.2 million
the purchase.
is for the
4 acre
additional
land.
property for the existing Sugarland campus that has been
They
phased
already
through.
purchased it. We are getting into lease agreement, right?
So there is an existing property due to traffic issues. City is asking us to, purchase more so we can, reduce the traffic issues around. the school.
I'm asking for, at this moment, is Charter Solutions already acquired it, right?
No, it's under contract.
Oh, they're waiting for this, right? For
Right,
the
we
lease
can't
agreement.
close on the financing without a
Okay,
lease,
without the
because the
agreement,
lease assures the repayment of the debt.
So is it okay to ask where in Sugarland, or is it?
It's adjacent to, it's on Eldridge, very
Oh,
close.
it's next door?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
the
yeah,
high
next door.
school or the elementary?
No, the
Elementary, okay.
proposed plan, yes.
Okay.
Sure, I'll be happy to talk about that. The existing campus is immediately south of the existing campus to provide off-site parking for carpool pickup.
Yeah.
The city had
Yeah.
Issues with the traffic back into the
Serious,
street.
yeah, traffic
And so we're
problem,
having to push
yeah.
everything off, so it's immediate, it will form one campus.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to help
very
us,
bad.
it's going to help, traffic issues in the
Traffic,
neighborhood.
yeah. Sure. All right. And I think the agreement is the same 30-year deal and similar to every other agreement we have with Charter Solutions.
Exactly.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, clarify for me the El Paso. What are we doing there? Because I'm not clear.
Can you, Mr. Sage, maybe it's not clear to everybody what Charter Solutions and Harmony Public Schools, especially for the new board members, if you can. that
Before
could help.
I explain the relationship, currently we have 3 campuses in El Paso. We started in 2005 as the first charter in El Paso. And, it used to be a church building, and we were using their elementary school section that they built for their purposes, but they either didn't want to operate. So, and in addition to that elementary school wing, they increased the size, built another school for us. So the first location, we have about 900 students in about almost 100,000 square feet space. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we expanded, opened another Harmony School of Innovation in El Paso on the east side. Last year, we acquired 15 acres land and opened our 3rd location as an elementary school, adjacent to our first school. So we have 3 locations in El Paso operating about 2,000, I would say 2,000, close to 2,000 students. In terms of relationship with Harmony and CSS?
Certainly. And that last piece of property that Dr. Turing mentioned was purchased by CSS and is currently leased to Harmony Public Schools, and that's the lease we're amending. The Charter School Solutions was created, it was an idea of a number of folks around here to create an alternative to the private developers that y'all had been leasing properties from. There are a number of for-profit developers out there that provide a much more expensive access to leased facilities, especially when we're doing kind of a build-to-suit lease development. And we found that in creating a nonprofit corporation called Charter School Solutions that was able to obtain its own 501c3 designation from the IRS, so they're not paying property taxes on these properties. Also to have minimal or no construction spreads, and then a very tight coverage over the debt service that they incur on these projects. We're able to develop these properties much more affordably for Harmony Public Schools and others. They've done projects for other charter schools as well. So, but that's Charter School Solutions. So a separate corporation, they are essentially a charitable organization that does development for charter schools. And they charge depending on the school and what's required under the financing for those campuses, whatever the bank requires as a spread or coverage on the debt service. So For Harmony, it's 115 is what Regions is requiring. They have a line of credit they're accessing for this property, or the bonds they access for this property. That means if their debt service is $100, their rent to Harmony Public Schools is $115. And it's basically just what the financing vehicles, the sources of their capital require. In El Paso, as Dr. Kareem mentioned, we've had a campus there for a number of years. We also had a neighboring, immediately adjacent campus that we were renting from a church. The church, Charter School Solutions, was able to purchase the note on that church building, and when the church defaulted on their indebtedness, Charter School Solutions foreclosed on it and took possession of the property, and has had possession of the property since end of February, 1st of March. They have taken capital from someone else, and so we're moving the Grand Prairie money to El Paso, pay off the loan that we had on that that's at a higher rate, and then it will all just be under the bond, Charter School Solutions bond transaction.
Just a side note, our lease payment, it was around, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but $100,000 a month. It's going to lower down to around $60,000 to $70,000. Just with the CFS, the same building, same thing, same operation, about 30% less.
So is the charter school solution unique to Harmony, or this is a common, I mean, this is very creative.
This never been done before.
Right, so it's very creative.
It's unique, to my knowledge, anywhere. In
But
the
it's-
country.
but
I'm
it's
not aware of
legal.
another one anywhere in the country. Right.
Is it legal?
Under
That's the
IRS.
I mean, it's very creative. So.
There are other nonprofit developers.
But not like, right.
I mean, when they say not like this efficient and this beautiful, this is what they mean. I mean, legal side, we have all.
We're very proud of what we created.
You should be
Yeah,
able to.
if we don't lease from them, we should, go out lease from private, building owners. And not only, they provide high lease rate, but also we have to pay the, property tax, basically, they impose on us to pay property taxes in addition to extra, lease payments.
That's all for me.
All right. That's helpful. All right. Any other questions, comments, or we can have a motion? No motion?
Is it for both of them? So
Yeah, we need a one
Together?
motion to approve both, yeah, or, yeah.
one motion to approve?
Yeah,
One motion,
yeah.
yes.
So I move motion to consider and adopt following resolutions. One, consider and adopt a resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement between Harmony Public Schools and Charter School Solutions for an additional land purchase in Sugar Land and other related matters. Number two, consider and adopt a resolution of the Board of Directors of Harmony Public Schools authorizing the execution and delivery of an amended lease agreement between Harmony Public Schools and Charter School Solutions for the participating campus in El Paso, Texas.
Anybody seconding this motion?
I
I'll
second.
second.
All right, Mr. Keskin seconded. And everybody in favor of approving these two resolutions, say aye.
Aye.
They are approved. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
And I think the next item is also Dr. Akil's item, review of Harmony Public Schools quarterly investment report.
Thank you very much. Meeting tonight for Finance Department.
This feels like a finance committee meeting.
Yes,
Yeah. And he has a group team there.
We are, as you know, the market investment market was very low, so we didn't invest our funds other than money market accounts and CDs so far. But starting 2017, market was getting better, so we initiated investment accounts. And by law, we are required to present you quarterly investment reports. So this is going to be the third quarterly report that Finance Department is going to bring to you. It's budget amendments, quarterly financials, and quarterly investment report. This is the first one we are presenting to you today. As your investment officer, myself, my job is to provide you this report. report is this page. I'm hoping you're looking at it now. First page has some introduction that I just summarized that to you. Again, our current investments, our previous investment tools were only money market, CDs, and repo accounts. We are adding commercial paper, agency bonds, purchase agreements to that pool. So next page has a little chart. It's called Summary Investment Report Summary. As you said, as you see, starting value of our investments were 63.8 million. Currently, it's 79.9 million. It's because we moved some excess cash from operating accounts to investment accounts. And again, the large investment pool will be the last row, investment accounts. But the shortest maturity is 3 months, so there is no earnings reported yet. So once the maturity is reached, we're going to have earnings. Next page is the page that you like to see, I believe, this page. I'd like to take your attention to the bottom graphs. Duration is how we diversified our investments. Within 3 months, 46% of our investments are within 3 months. And a quarter of them is less than 6 months, and more than 6 months is about 30%. And also, we invested 80% of our investment accounts, not money market accounts, to commercial papers, and 20% on agency papers. The following page is this chart will show you what are the papers, which are the companies that we invested on. Our investment policy and the law specifies what maturity we can invest and what are the requirements for the commercial papers. They are all supposed to be AAA or up rating, so their ratings are also presented here. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, so during his presentation, Drew mentioned that around 5,100,000 was released to pay some of the refinance, right? Is this reflected here, or it hasn't reflected, right? So this is going to be minus 5 million?
Yes, we directly use that 5 million to pay off previous bonds. So we used that money in that deal. We didn't take it out. It was better to keep it there as the return rates are about 1%, and it paid off.
It wasn't part of this invested, like
No, sir.
no.
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. It was restricted cash. This only includes unrestricted cash. Restricted cash is
okay.
out there on trust.
Okay. All right. Is this the investment report presented to board? Is it new regulation?
No, sir, but we didn't have an investment previously. We have only money market accounts. That's why we didn't prepare the reports.
Okay. And you said at the beginning, how often are you going to present this?
Quarterly, every quarter.
Okay. All right.
This is for March 31st quarter.
We had no idea that we had this investment, so it's good. It's a good report.
Our estimate is on a full year, it's going to generate about 600,000 return on our investments every year.
Okay. Any questions? This is not an action item, so it's an information item. If you have questions, comments, we can entertain those. Otherwise, I'll thank you, Mr. Akils. I guess the next one is also yours. Consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Finance Committee meeting held on May 3rd, 2017.
Mr. Finance Committee met on May 3rd at 6:45 in Central Office with presence of Dr. Koç and Mr. Keskin, myself and Purchasing Director Mr. Bayer, Dr. Bayer. Sorry. There was one award to create pool. It was for adaptive learning and assessment software as requested by academic department. There was 11 companies awarded and the pool. Again, we are creating the pool first and then working with the companies. There was different service, there was a variety of different services. And then board awarded 9 of those vendors as awarded contracts, and also board awarded one of the launch companies for Houston West District during the meeting. And also we discussed review the items that is presented to you today: the bond sale, a bridge loan, and during closed session the lease agreements in details, that CSS lease agreements and other related matters in details with finance committee members. And also we discussed about the investment report that I just presented to you, and bond financing.
Okay, I only have one question. It might be, I don't know the details of it. Maybe it's very simple. When you create this pool, for example, for the software procurement, is this to have options for centrally, or to allow each campus to be able to pick and choose or work with individual vendors? Understand my question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Well, it depends on nature of the bid. For example, if it's a janitorial, say
for software procurement, for this one, for example.
I don't know the details of what softwares we purchase, but it's like Renaissance Learn AR, Excel readers, for example, Excel readers. So there are different. As a system-wide, academic department can say we want to use the same software system-wide, or they can allow each campus to do it. But what finance committee does is we say these are qualified vendors,
okay.
And we allow the management. It could be central office, it could be the campus, depending on the nature. But for this one was central office, the academic department. They choose appropriate ones. We find it appropriate. We don't have to do that, but because when you award one contract and you do not create a pool to alternate, when the vendor fails to deliver, then you have to go to another 3 months, 4-month bidding process, and you are left out of any service. So that's the reason we create those pools and then allow the management. Still, board has to approve which contract has to be done, but we don't have to go 3 months bidding process. One board meeting will satisfy.
And then the way the execution is up to the departments, how they're gonna choose this 3, or they're gonna mandate to the campuses or allow them to do. It's departmental decision.
But signing contracts, if it's a contract, signing contracts supposed to be done. If it's above 250,000, board has to approve it anyway. So it's not technically up to they can make suggestion, board has to decide. If it's less than 250, it is the CEO superintendent's responsibility to approve it. So they cannot act on their own. They have to go with.
Okay. Yeah, that clarifies it a lot. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, comments? This is the Finance Committee meeting minutes, and we are seeking for a motion.
I make a motion for approval, ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Finance Committee.
Anybody seconding?
I second.
Everybody in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Dr. Akil.
Thank you. That was really my last item.
Now I know how you lost all those weight. Yeah. Sorry. All right.
The meeting last week, it was the last week. I mean, it really took some time. Yeah.
All right.
Not that long,
No,
but
not that long. Okay.
it was long.
All right, so we appreciate the hard work of both the Finance Committee members and the Finance Department and our experts and outside consultants, attorneys, everybody. We appreciate that. The next item is consider approval, ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Facilities and Constructions Committee meeting held on May 3rd, 2017.
Dr. Köse?
Good evening. Well, actually, we are under Finance Department, so it's still finance items. Okay. So our committee, Facilities and Construction Committee, met in May 3rd, 6 p.m. on Wednesday, with the presence of Mr. Keskin, Dr. Akıldız, and myself. We have discussed a total of 6 items, 3 change order items and 3 bid projects. The first item was for Harmony School of Innovation El Poso expansion project. Our architect, there was only 1 bid submitted for this project and it was over budgeted amount. So our architect recommended cancellation for this project and our committee approved it. The second item was for Harmony School of Innovation gym build-out project. There was 5 bids and this was a competitive seal proposal procurement method was used for this project, and Integrity Contractors was the number 1 ranked company based on the published criteria, and we our architect recommended, so our committee approved it. And the third item was Harmony School of Carrollton gym renovation for the elementary school, and our architect recommended the bid to be awarded the lowest responsible bidder, TDM. And the other 3 items were all change order items. 1 item came for Harmony School of Enrichment Houston project. This was approved as proposed. And item 8 and item 9 were submitted for Harmony School of Innovation Brownsville project. They were approved as proposed. Our Facilities Construction Committee voted to adjourn the meeting, and we recommend approval for the Facilities and Construction meeting minutes of May 30, 2017.
Is the number 5 and number 6, they both says HSI Carrollton. One of them is elementary, one of them is high, or same school?
Different schools.
Different schools, right?
Different schools.
The name is same though.
We wanted to keep it that way because the project name noted as HSI in the bid procurement, so we wanted to keep the same name. Okay. That's fine. But it's for elementary. Right now, the school is serving as a K5 school. K6 actually.
Okay.
And Dr. Köse, in the attendance section of the minutes, Cengiz Han is the HBS board secretary, not the chair. If you can make that change. Attendance.
What was the page?
Yeah, the
page number 3.
Attendance.
Yes. We'll correct that.
All right. Good catch. I didn't see it. It says board chair.
I read it several times, but
maybe this says sign. All right. Anybody? Any questions, comments for the Facilities and Construction Committee meeting minutes or actions? Otherwise, we can have a motion.
So I make a motion to consider the approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Facilities and Construction Committee held on May 3rd, 2017.
All right. Anybody seconding? See, Homer is not here, so Construction Committee chair is not here. All right. Alan seconded. Everybody in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you, Dr. Köse.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, so I think this is our last action item, but not the last item. Consider adoption of the 2017-2018 Harmony Public Schools Compensation Manual.
Mr. Polat?
Yes, sir. So, dear board members, it is time for us to calculate all salaries of our employees for the next school year.
So in order to do that, we need to get your approval for the 2017-18 compensation manual. Basically, if you are looking at the 2017-18 HPS compensation manual draft with all those reviews, mainly there are all grammatical mistake explanations or rewording. So we are not changing anything on our base salaries. So all employees will be getting their regular increases because they are gaining their one more year experience, so stepping up, so getting those raises. Other than that, we are not changing the base because we have done a lot of increase last year. So we are still competitive in teacher salary and other salaries. So this year, we are not going to do that.
How much was it for 1 year experience, one extra year experience? Was it 250?
For teachers, 250.
250.
For other employees, it changes according to where they are, which role band they are. So mainly it is 2%.
Yeah, if they get certification while they're working, there's an increase.
Certification increases $2,000.
Masters, there is an increase if they get masters, and if they change subject, if they teach core subject area or special needs subject area, they get additional 2,000, 3,000. So there are some sort of increase, but for the base is 250.
Base is the same, yes.
Yeah.
And the base, you mean it's a 2% increase, or what do you
Yes,
mean by base?
2% increase for the non-teacher employees, exempt employees in the role bands, 2% mainly. Of course, 2% changes.
Is
but
it
it's
tied to
2%.
their performance or anything?
For now, we have only performance-based salary for TIF grant for teachers because of student performance, and of course some other employees and also principals. But other than that, there's no. We are just actually created our performance management system for our leaders, and it's going to be piloted this year. And next year we want to consider that performance-based payment for our leaders too. But coming year we are going to pilot it. So.
And just an FYI, last year, Ms. Morales, actually previous years when we had surplus, and which we find out in the first month of the school year, which was in September,
right.
We actually came and asked you to distribute it money among all teachers as a bonus. So if this year we get surplus, unexpectedly higher amount, we'll come back and ask you to maybe increase more.
And hopefully with our financial advisors that are so creative, we will have a surplus and we can, share it with the teachers.
Yeah.
Put pressure.
We do
put
that.
Pressure.
That's kind of tradition, I think, in
So, since I'm new, is there any kind of comparison? You said with the salaries of the teachers were, competitive with the rest of the public schools. So is there a comparison somewhere that I can pull up and look to compare Harmony teachers up with the HISD teachers, or?
Yes.
I don't need it for all the cities.
Yeah, so we are all over the place, so that's why we are comparing where we are. So comparing to HISD, we are just back $1,500. We are short, but for a charter school, getting 30% less money than HISD, I think that's pretty good.
This is $1,500 in base salary.
In the base, yes. Okay. And actually, when we say base, we have 50,000. Actually, it is 52,000 for some teachers, as Dr. Tarim says. For STEM teachers, special education, and ESL teachers, it's 52,000 actually. For other teachers who are generalists, ELA and socialists, it's 51. And for other teachers, which is only 14% of our teacher population, that's 50,000 for Houston. So it is very comparable with the neighboring ISTs. In some places, such as in Austin, Brownsville, some small cities, Waco, we are surpassing the surrounding districts in base. So,
with 38% less than HISD?
1,500 short than HISD's base salary for teachers. And we are also very competitive in other lower salary bands, such as coordinators. We have a lot of coordinators, SPED coordinators, ESL, coordinators in the school, APs, our assistant principals, getting pretty much, competitive salary compared to ISTs. Not everywhere though, but because in some cities or ISTs, they give a lot of, they have different structures. So for example, an AP may be getting much more at El Paso than in Houston, and we can't make that determination everywhere because El Paso, I don't know why they are giving so much money for their APs, or HISD does not. So for the other administrative positions, we are coming our own policy and procedures and placement of all these role bands and determining the salary. But for teachers, we all compared with the surrounding ISDs.
And the reason that we pay more to STEM teachers is what?
$2,000 more.
No, but why do we pay them more than we pay the other teachers?
I mean, historically,
These are the subject area that it's difficult to, find teachers.
So it's a matter of finding teachers. It's not value of what they're teaching.
No, it's not the value. It's the finding teachers is difficult in subject area. Every year, Commissioner of Education publish, provide a publication. In that it says that these are the shortage areas in teaching. These are special ed, ESL, and math and science teacher. And now computer science also becoming scary in terms of number of teachers that we find. So because of that, a lot of school districts, not just us, a lot of school districts provide more incentives to get a math and science teacher, ESL teachers to provide additional funding.
And then I must have been wrong. I thought you said ESL was not as high as the STEM teachers.
no, ESL is the same as STEM
teachers.
ESL, special education, these are shortage areas, so they are the same as STEM.
So we provide $3,000 additional
ELA
funding.
is $1,000 less, ELA and social studies.
So I have
And actually many districts, according to TASB salary search, half of the districts in Texas gives more incentives to STEM, ESL and SPED and bilingual, and half of them does not give anything to any teachers. So all teachers are the same. So we are doing this because it is historically, difficult to hard to staff areas are this. So.
Thank you.
Are you done? Okay, I have another question.
Yes,
Just to clarify, what's the effect of TIF grant to the teacher salaries? What's the effect in the next year?
We have seen the effects
So the
right away.
base will not change, right?
Base
On top
not
of that,
changing.
there will be some additional monies coming.
Because of their experience, because they got the experience, one more year experience they gained. So
But
because of that, they are
$250.
$250 per.
Does that come from the TIF grant or?
No, that's just.
So I'm asking the TIF grant, the effect of TIF grant to the salaries.
Yes, TIF grant is, based on the student performance. So if they can get up to $3,000 maximum. It was $1,000 before, now it is $3,000. So TIF gives some extra money, of course.
So in the last year or like this year?
This coming year, yes.
Let's say,
yes.
The year we are finishing.
Because we
right now.
got the TIF at the middle of the year. That's why, remember,
can
we
I
have
just
changed it.
Finish it just a second.
Yes.
For this year, we are finishing right now. For this year, so we were paying $1,000 to teachers.
No, sir. Still, we're going to do 3,000 because we have changed it in the last board meeting. Remember, we have changed it. These are all TIF requirements. So because we got the money already, so we can apply it for this current year based on the student performance.
So that
so we are just keeping the same for the next
we are
year.
not giving any raise to teachers. That's my understanding.
Right. Yes.
So, okay, interesting. TIF reflected this year's salary already?
Yes, we talked
Yes.
about that. I remember. We
Yes.
talked about that. Yeah.
Okay.
In the last board meeting, you approved it.
Yeah, we approved it, but I thought
Yeah.
it's going to be effective next year. It's this year.
Because, this year also.
So, did we inform teachers?
Yes.
Did they?
They are very happy with
So,
that.
because the performance, I would assume, because it's performance-based, it was better if they know in advance so that they can.
No, Actually, we just changed the amounts.
There was an amount, okay, we
Yeah,
updated. Okay.
just increased the amount, so.
Okay.
So kind of we gave the raise of next year, we started that this year.
You can say so, yeah.
It is sad that we are not giving them any like raise, but our finance people just told us kind of giving a big raise also financially harms the HBS as well. It's a really tough decision. It's a really tough decision.
You know, TIF money is already there, so, you know, that money already came, and, you know, it is performance-based, so we have to give it, though. That's the federal
It's an
money.
additional grant funding.
Yes, I'm following
Yeah,
it.
yeah, okay, thank you, sir.
And it doesn't
So
affect.
this is for the teacher portion. How about the administrators?
Administrators, again, there was some money for principals, for some other school staff, like coaches, APs also, getting some money
Within
before
TIF grant?
TIF. Before
Before
TIF.
TIF?
Yes. Now, with TIF, they also increased.
Okay.
But they are all from the TIF budget.
I understand.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, and any other questions? So throughout the year, because of the TIF, sometimes there were some urgent items. We visited this item several times.
I mean,
This
yeah.
time it is for next year, so we have to do it. And
17,
principals will start hiring or extending the contract. But for the future, we are not looking for any other update soon, right? Are we?
That's a good question, sir.
I want to get an answer so that I can use it against you next time.
No, so that's a good question. So, all of our manuals, as you know, when we catch sometimes typos, sometimes, we get feedback from, larger community. Once you approve, we release it to everybody, right? And sometimes people warn us, including our lawyers, and if they catch something that is not appropriate, we'll come back. We don't want to come back every board meeting.
Typos are okay.
Yes.
I'm talking about number changes
No, I mean.
I hope not. We hope not.
Actually, we hope.
to increase.
I mean, if.
But
as
I mean,
Dr.
if
Terim
we are
said, there's
increasing
a-
system-wide, that's good. But when we change things, affect some people this way, some people that way, and
No,
then
no, no.
we,
If there's any big
those
surplus-
requires piloting and everything else. So we need to be extra careful with those. So, do we have a motion?
Dr. Polat, thank you very much explaining, just answering all my questions.
Thank you. Of course,
I'd
sir.
like to make a motion to consider adoption of the 2017-18 HBS compensation manual.
Anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded. All right, everybody in favor of approving the 2017-2018 Harmony Public Schools compensation manual, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Mr. Polat.
Thank you.
All right, so our next item is the CEO report.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we just became aware that, normally we provide the CEO report, but Mr. Balaban warned me that he posted the agenda items without CEO report.
Oh, okay.
And I just confirm with the legal side that I cannot, since this is not part of the agenda item, I will not be able to provide CEO report to you as part of agenda item.
When you say posted, you mean like
3 days
outside
ago,
or
outside.
even the emails that you send us?
Not to you, to the public.
To the public.
Thank you.
I was
We have-
ready.
We have the slides. Thank you very much.
I was ready to provide, but I know specifically, Mrs. Ellen asked me to provide a report to the board, and I will wait to do this next time. And I apologize. And privately, though, I can provide that information to Mrs. McDonald's privately.
All right, then,
But just to assure you that, as a comment, closing comment, that I, eliminated the concerns that we received from our parents.
Okay, so, yeah.
When you say you eliminated the concern, I'm not sure what that means. That was a concern of real urgency, but it has continuing ramifications. And waiting another month.
No, we are not waiting another month to resolve the issues.
No, waiting another
many-
month to let us know what you did.
Sure, I can provide that privately to you and to each member, but not part of the report.
Perhaps I can help you there. Because we don't have this posted as a public notice on the agenda, we're unable to entertain it as an agenda item this evening. However, you may receive a written report from the CEO. You may also wish to personally visit with the CEO and receive information, which is perfectly fine. The report could be, and probably will, be placed on the next agenda where you can ask your additional questions about it.
Why was it not posted this time?
I have no idea. It was a clerical error.
Pardon me?
It was a typo. When I was preparing the agenda and the notice, it's just, I had it on the agenda, but not on the notice. That was the last item, and this is my mistake.
Okay.
And just to clarify, Ms. McDonald, as soon as we listen that person, Mrs. Baca and our central office folks took action and eliminated immediate concerns. And we are working with that parent, continuously, and she is happy and resolved many of her issues.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So with that, we need a motion to adjourn our meeting.
That much I can remember. It's not a matter of memory, it's actually having the exact wording. But I do move that we adjourn, close the meeting
all right.
and adjourn.
Anybody seconding?
I second.
All right, everybody in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Thanks for staying.